Hello friends! Welcome to our channel. Today we will look at the story of a poor widow named Natsia, who lived in a one-room house with her two young children. Natsia's husband had passed away many years ago and left her with nothing but a broken heart and a battered sewing machine, which was her late mother's prized possession. This old, clunky machine was their only hope for survival. Each morning before the sun had a chance to rise, Nazia would start working. She stitched clothes for her neighbors, mending tiers and hemming dresses. She did not do this for long. By lunchtime, her fingers would be sore and bleeding. Yet she pushed through because every stitch meant another bite of bread for her and her children. She managed to save a few coins from her earnings, which were barely enough to keep them alive. Sometimes she dreamed of becoming a full-time seamstress. It was a long shot, but a girl could dream, couldn't she? However, reality was harsh and unforgiving. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and still she remained stuck in her tiny room, as if God himself wanted to test her resolve. One day, the old sewing machine gave up the ghost. Desperate Nazia set out to find someone to repair it. She walked for hours, finally reaching a repair shop, only to be told it would cost more than she had saved over the past year. Tears streamed down her face as she returned home, defeated. For days she sat idle, unable to earn a single penny. Hunger gnawed at her stomach, but it was her children's faces that worried her the most. How could she explain to them that there would be no food tonight? To make matters worse, their electricity was cut off due to non-payment of bills. The heat from the midday sun made their small home unbearable. Still, she forced a smile and played with her children, hiding the worry lines etched on her face. Before they went to bed, she would tell them stories of brave princesses and gallant princes. Once upon a time, she would say, her voice soft and lilting, there was a princess who lived in a faraway land. She had kind eyes and a heart full of gold. One day, the princess heard the cries of a poor family and felt compelled to help them. She visited their home and donated money, food, and clothes. The family was so grateful for the princess's generosity that they prayed for her every day. Her children listened intently, their eyes wide with wonder. For them, their mother was their princess, their hero, and she would do anything to keep it that way. But sometimes, when she tucked them into bed, she couldn't stop the tears from falling. She missed her husband terribly and often wondered how he must be feeling up in heaven. She missed his warm embrace, his comforting words, the way he made her laugh. Most of all, she missed the life they had planned to live together. The next morning, after feeding her children, she sent them off to school with patched-up clothes and empty stomachs. Their schoolmates often made fun of them, calling them poor and ragged. But the two children held their heads high. They were used to being different, to being looked down upon. After seeing her children leave, Natsia rushed back to her sewing machine. She knew that hunger wouldn't wait for her to finish her work. She worked feverishly, determined to get something done before her children returned home. As the afternoon sun began to set, her son came back home. He was dirty and tired from a hard day at school, but his eyes were shining with excitement. He ran up to his mother and said, "Mum, today in school we got new books and stationery. Look, I even have a brand new uniform." He beamed with pride. When Nadia saw her son's new uniform, a sharp pain shot through her heart. She forced a smile and asked, "Is it nice?" Her son nodded enthusiastically. "It's so much better than my old one. The other boys in my class also got new ones, but only Arman didn't." Nadia's gaze fell to the floor. She knew what he was referring to. Arman was the son of the local shoe shiner. He always wore old, dirty clothes and smelled faintly of leather polish. "Where's your sister?" Nadia asked, trying to change the subject. Her son shrugged. "She went to see Sarah. They're best friends." At that moment, her daughter entered the house. She was out of breath and her clothes were dusty. Nadia frowned, sensing that something was wrong. Her daughter tried to hide a small shoe-shining box in her bag. "Where did you go?" Nadia asked sharply. Her daughter's shoulders slumped and she started crying. "I'm sorry, Mum. I didn't mean to lie. I went to the market to buy some bread. We ran out yesterday and I promised Sarah I'd get her some too." Nadia felt a pang of sympathy for her daughter. She too had been poor once. She understood what it was like to go to bed hungry or to wear clothes that were too small or too torn. "Why didn't you ask me for money? You know I'll always give it to you." "I'm sorry, Mum. I didn't want you to get angry." Nadia pulled her daughter into a tight hug. "Never lie to me again, okay? Now, come on, let's get some food." Later that evening, after her children had gone to bed, Nadia family, she couldn't understand why her daughter would risk upsetting her by sneaking out of the house to buy bread. She went to her daughter's room and found the small shoe-shining box. Curiosity got the better of her, and she opened it. Inside, she found a few shiny coins. Suddenly, she remembered her daughter coming home with new stationery and a brand new uniform. A wave of understanding washed over her. Her daughter wasn't just trying to be helpful, she was doing it out of desperation. The thought of her daughter suffering in silence filled her with shame and guilt. She rocked gently, tears streaming down her face. At that moment, she made a vow to herself. She would do whatever it took to make sure her children never had to go through what she had endured. She whispered to herself, "Ya Allah, give me strength. Please don't let my children's dreams die with me." Meanwhile, the local school teacher was very fond of Nadia's children. She noticed their kindness towards each other and their eagerness to learn despite their difficult circumstances. She couldn't bear to see them suffer anymore, so she decided to pay them a surprise visit at home. When she arrived, she was shocked by what she saw. The house was small and dirty, and Nadia looked exhausted and worn out. The children were ashamed for their mother. They wanted to hide her, but the teacher stopped them. She sat down and spoke to Nadia, telling her that she knew about their situation and that she wanted to help. Nadia was hesitant at first, but eventually agreed to accept the teacher's offer. The teacher quietly collected donations from her friends and colleagues. With the money, she bought a brand new sewing machine for Nasia. Nasia was overwhelmed with gratitude. She couldn't believe that someone would be willing to help her. When her children came home from school, they were amazed to see the new sewing machine. Their eyes filled with wonder as they watched their mother use it for the first time. From that day on, everything changed for Natsia. She became full of energy and enthusiasm. She used her new sewing machine to start a small tailoring shop. Her business grew quickly because people loved the quality of her work and appreciated her kind heart. In addition to sewing, she also hired other poor women in the neighborhood to work for her. She paid them fairly and treated them like family. She even offered them food and helped them with their children. Natsia's children were proud of their mother. They watched her work hard and succeed, and they learned the value of honesty, kindness, and determination. Her son became a doctor and her daughter a lawyer. They both traveled all over the world, but they never forgot where they came from. One day, Natsia attended her daughter's graduation ceremony. As she watched her daughter receive her degree, she couldn't hold back her tears. The same hands that once trembled with despair now clapped with joy. She knew that her daughter would go on to do great things and make a difference in the world. And that's the end of this story. If you liked this story, please like our video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.